Where were they when the Biden administration was meddling with Facebook's content policies? It's not about Trump, really, it's about control. They fear the power of the people to think for themselves, to question, and to challenge the status quo. And that's why they are desperate to cling to their old ways, even if it means sacrificing free speech itself.
There's too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. We're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X. We're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action.
We all act like we're for free speech when it's the things we like. When somebody wants to defend the free speech of people we disagree with,
that is not true. I don't want you calling me. I don't want people to call.
Comedy needs to be able to push limits.
Listen, comedy does push limits, but be smarter in your comedy.
Let's talk about what's really going on. It's not just about Mark Zuckerberg changing some policies at Meta. This is about a broader battle for control of the narrative. The View ladies and their allies on the left are losing their minds because the walls they've built to control what we see and hear are starting to crumble. They used to have a monopoly, deciding what's true and what's misinformation, but the people are waking up.
You don't need to offend me to be funny. I don't need to offend you to be funny. And so there are
tends to be offensive and push boundaries,
that's actually not necessarily true. The best comedy doesn't always tend to be offensive. It just doesn't.
Okay, the First Amendment doesn't apply to private companies, which is why I'm frustrated, Mark.
It's truly baffling how they can claim to be champions of democracy while simultaneously demanding that certain voices be silenced. And their claim that fact-checking is a noble endeavor when it started in 2016 with the election of Donald Trump is disingenuous.
Zuckerberg did this, but there are countries in Europe who have modified the way they're allowed to talk about people.
Yes.
I actually support some eliminations on hate speech, which makes me not an absolutist, but I'm okay with it.
Because there are things that we collectively can say, we respect everybody's right not to be called a name. If you take that away and you allow that, it's a problem.
They didn't allow it before.
Let's make something crystal clear. Free speech isn't just for the ideas we like. It's especially for the ideas we don't like. That's the whole point. The ladies at The View seem to want a world where only their opinions are valid. They want to decide what you can say and what you can't. But who died and made them the arbiters of truth?
They allow it now, and they
allow
it's
it
not
now.
a good thing. Really existed on any platform I've been on.
Donald Trump.
There's never been a social media platform that's existed where you can't call people names. I've been called names on every platform that didn't exist.
But here's the thing: it doesn't make it right.
But let's say facts, not say because Donald Trump got elected, now you can call names on social media. That's not true.
That's why Mark Zuckerberg is doing it.
Are you on the ground again? Yeah.
The people that actually did call for censorship, what was the response to all this?
To what? To the investigation?
Yes.
I don't know.
Was anybody held accountable? Was there any repercussions?
I mean, they lost the election.
Yes. So that's it. That's it.
Well, in a democracy, I mean, that's kind of right.
Right, but if what they did was illegal, do you not think that some steps should be put in place to make sure that people are punished for that and that never happens again? It seems that has a massive impact on the way our country goes. If that's election interference, and I think it is, that has a massive impact on the direction of our country.
Yeah, well, the COVID thing I don't think was election interference as much as it was just like government meddling where it shouldn't have. But
right.
I mean,
I'm talking about the Hunter Biden laptop
tougher for me to say, like what specific retribution or justice should happen to anyone who is involved in these things. But I think your point about let's make sure this doesn't happen again is the one that I'm more focused on. Right? Because it's the thing that I reflect on my journey on all this, which is like, okay, Yeah, so we didn't take down the stuff that was true, but we did generally defer to the government on some of these policies that in retrospect I probably wouldn't, knowing what I know now. And I just think that that's sort of the journey that we've been on. Is like, okay, we start the thing focused on free expression, go through some like pretty crazy times in the world, get it pressure tested, see where we basically ended up doing stuff that led to a slippery slope that we weren't happy with the conclusion, and like try to reset. And that's sort of the moment that we're at now, is trying to just rationalize a bunch of the policies. And look, I mean, obviously crazy things can happen in the future that might unearth something that I haven't, some kind of angle on this that I haven't thought enough about yet. So I don't know, I'm sure I'm not done making mistakes.
We've seen the clips, we've heard the outrage, and now it's time for a dose of straight talk. The same people who got played by the Biden administration's misinformation campaign over Hunter Biden's laptop are now claiming some moral high ground. The arrogance is stunning, and let's talk about this hate speech card they love to play. Of course, genuine hate speech that incites violence has no place in a civilized society. But where do you draw the line? They're trying to conflate offensive speech with hate speech in order to silence dissent. They've got a problem with comedy because it uses language that might be offensive to them, while turning a blind eye to music and other forms of expression that have far more problematic content. It's a blatant double standard. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, Donald Trump. They are losing it because they see him regaining influence, and they know that means the gig is up. All of a sudden, Mark Zuckerberg is the bad guy because he met with Trump and made some donations. It seems that all of a sudden now, they've got an issue with corporations having influence in politics. They are all in a frenzy over Meta's change in policy that prioritizes free speech on its platforms. They're acting like restoring free expression is some kind of apocalyptic event. We can't let them win this. We need to fight for our right to speak freely, to have open discussions and respectful debates. Don't let them make you afraid to speak your mind. It's time we reclaim the digital town square and create a space where all voices, not just the ones they approve of, can be heard. So what can we do? First, let's stop giving The View the attention they crave. Turn the channel, unfollow them online, and let their echo chamber shrink into oblivion. Second, let's support platforms and content creators who champion free speech. There are alternatives out there that aren't run by these ideological gatekeepers. Third, engage in respectful and critical conversation online and in person, but don't be bullied by those who want to silence you. This is our country. We, the people, get to decide what goes on, not the media and not some panel of so-called experts who think they know better than all of us. Let's reject the narrative, expose the hypocrisy, and reclaim our freedom. That's it for today's show. Like, share, subscribe, and most importantly, stay woke, my family. Keep God first, stay prayed up, and I'll catch you on the next one.